Hallo miteinander, I'm Gish86 and this is the Let's Play for Funtacular. Now if you're not associated with the Socks Make People Sexy forum, this is a Let's Play competition. We're given a different game for each week and we have to play it for 15 minutes and do as well as we can as we at it. That means pretty much as all aspects of LPing, including commentary. Now, about this game for week 1, Contra was picked. Now, this is a very special game for many. Some really like it, some find it notoriously hard, and just find it annoying. It's not the kind of game that I would usually LP, because usually I pick more obscure games, and Contra is a very well-known franchise nowadays. This is the first installment of the series. Now, for Contra I have pretty much no nostalgia. I have never owned it as a kid, none of my buddies ever had it, never rented it, and only for this competition have I actually played it for the first time. So yeah, I'm very fresh at this game. But I have to say that it's a really great game. I had a lot of fun practicing it. It's got this really great level design with clever enemy placement and trap placement. It's also got very smooth passages that are just very actiony, and these really tight controls that are just a lot of fun. We're facing one of these armored vehicles again. These have these really stiff turrets. They can't hit you at that point where I'm standing. It's very weird. Where did they get those? At a flea market or something? I don't know. Now, a thing that you might have noticed is that I did not get the spread gun. That was just the first of many blunders in this run that you'll see. I'm not an expert at this game, I really have to admit. I would like to say I am, but of course I'm not. I've only played it for the first time recently, so how would I be one? If you get the spread gun, you have pretty much the most overpowered weapon in the game. Everyone who knows a bit about Contra knows that. With that, this boss right here is pretty much a pushover, because everything he throws at you, you'll just destroy outright. But we don't have the spread gun, so this is looking a lot more tense like that. Wow, that was a close call right there. So yeah, the #1 strategy for Contra is get the spread gun, play well and don't die, and you'll breeze through it. Now, another thing about this competition is that not only do we play for 15 minutes, but we start this game in stage 5. Instead of stage 1, of course. With 15 minutes of time, it's perfectly possible to see the ending of the game at this point. Some speedrunners might actually just beat it in less than 15 minutes, I don't know. But yeah, maybe we can beat the game in this time. We'll see, we'll see. Now we're in stage 6, which is called the energy zone. I think that's just a more fancy word for power plant, and it really does look like a bit of a futuristic power plant. We have all these glowy thingies and these fire traps. Yeah, very industrial. Now, about the difficulty of Contra, many people don't like it because it's very hard, but it's the good kind of hard, if you ask me. The game is a lot about memorization. It has these good controls, they never work against you, as I've said. And with that, it's just a really fun game. Now, I think that stage 6 is actually one of the easier levels in the game, because for the second half of it, you get an invincibility pickup. Right there, the B. With that, you can pretty much skip half of it, because the duration of this invincibility is really long. You also kill enemies by running into them. Very handy. Watch out, John Rambo. When Bill Rizer's around, you better take cover. Now we're coming up against the boss, which is a bit harder than the level. Some people struggle with it. With him, I should say. It's this bulking dude in the spiky armor. I think he's some kind of android guy. He really reminds me of one of those desert raiders from the Mad Max series. I really liked those movies, especially the second one. That one was really good. Other ones were okay. Right there I failed to jump. But I still have 2 lives left. Now this guy dies really fast if you have the spread gun. And he also, not only do you get many shots in when you're close, but he also won't jump your shots. He's very jumpy. It's like he has springs in his shoes. And he's done as well. Now we can move on to stage 7, the hangar. Oh, Bill Rizer just shot us. I guess it was because we were staring at his pecs. He's a little insecure about that. Now, the hangar. For me, that's one of the harder levels in the game. It's laden with all these spiky traps, these presses, and spiky walls. Now, I just picked up the flamethrower, which is one of my least favorite weapons in the game. Once I missed a guy on point-blank range and he killed me. That was really annoying. Since then I've hated this gun. The other guns are much better in my opinion. Machine gun is always good. Always better than your default gun. The laser, I actually think the laser is okay. It's very powerful. And the spread gun, I've already talked about the spread gun. It just has this really wide range and the shots are really big. Throws out really big balls of hurt. Now a lot of people find these spike walls remarkably. They think that they don't make sense and that they really don't fit in here. I think they're kind of nice. One of these guys that leads this base must have some kind of fetish for them. Bet there are some really weird guys around doing this terrorist activity and being around these aliens. Spoilers. So you can actually go 2 routes there. I missed another spread gun on the lower one. I didn't get that one because for the longest time I thought that the lower route was kind of impossible. But it's actually a really easy route. You can evade the last stomper by just jumping over it. It's really weird and you wouldn't expect it, but that's how it is. You know, one thing about Contra is that it's pretty much hard from the beginning, but it has a really weird difficulty curve. In a way, it doesn't really have one at all. I mean, some levels are just easier than the previous one, and some bosses are total pushovers with save spots and exploits. Like this one. This one is a total joke. He's probably even more pitiful than the stage 1 boss. You can do pretty much the same thing against that one as well. Just stand in its face and shoot it. That's all the trick there is to it. And we've reached stage 8, the final stage of the game, the alien's lair. It's a scary, dark and organic place. Really not somewhere where you want to stay for a long time. Not a nice place indeed. Almost as bad as my room. Now, it's starting off with a mini-boss right away. This alien spewing out little larvae at you. This thing really isn't very protective of its offspring, is it? Well, we have had that in video games before. Just mothers sacrificing their little kids. Such an outrage. Now, what I've talked about before in stage 7 is actually... Stage 8 is actually a prime example for a really weird difficulty curve. One other thing before that, there's another spread shot coming up, but wow. If you look at that, that was really bad, really embarrassing. I think it's an overused expression, but epic fail. It fits right here. As I was saying about stage 8, it really isn't a hard level, and it's also the final level in the game. You'd really expect hell for a final level, but it's not here. If you have the spread gun, you can breeze through the level like through any other. But even if you don't, if you just take your time and kill everything, it's also really easy. I mean, these moths are really predictable, and if you go after their little spores or what they're shooting out, they're really not very hard, and it's just really easy for you to protect yourself against them. Yeah. Now here's where you should watch out for these little aliens. We're actually coming up to the boss. It is the alien heart. I always destroy that last maw, because it'll just be painful if I don't. Now, this guy also isn't hard for a final boss. There is a custom challenge on the in the competition that you get an extra point if you destroy the heart without killing any of the pods. I'll leave that to the Contra veterans though, nothing for me. I always think that I can walk under these aliens when they're coming from the ceiling, but I can't, and I pay the price. Now when you've destroyed the two bottom ones, you've pretty much got a safe spot right there, and it's really easy at that point. So, that was it. We have beaten Contra, or at least half of it. And it was a 1 credit clear as well. Now in the Japanese version that we're playing for this competition, you get an extended ending. Right here. That wasn't in the American one. If you think about it, pretty much all versions of Contra are remarkably different from others. We have the Japanese version here, we have the US version, and in Europe the game was actually called Probotector, and the sprites were changed to robots. Isn't that weird, huh? The reasons for that were that the game was actually censored. That was a method of censorship, yeah. You just didn't want... they just didn't want people getting killed in this game. You didn't want that for your kids or the war themes of the game. So yeah, we had robots. Robots are cool. So I think that's actually a sensible way of censorship. You know, before this competition I was playing Blackthorn, and the censorship in that game really doesn't make much sense. But yeah. I really had a long brain fart at the beginning of the credits. I don't know why. So yeah, the credits are rolling. I have to say this run was kind of inconsistent. I died at some really stupid points, and I played better at some others. But I guess that's what you'd expect from someone who is pretty much an amateur at this game. I call it the Lucky Dumbass edition of Contra. Now, after the Konami logo vanishes, the game will loop back to stage 1. Now I have to admit, I really didn't practice the early levels of the game that much. I pretty much only practiced stages 5 to 8 for the competition. But since I enjoyed this game so much, I played it a bit more, of course. For the longest time I had trouble with the base levels, stages 2 and 4. But if you really understand those aren't very hard as well. Now, if you've paid attention, you've noticed that I've missed pretty much every spread shot until here. That one up there, that's the only one I've gotten. That was so embarrassing, those times where I missed it. Oh well, maybe you'll get some humor out of it. I think Contra is a goldmine for failure. Now, our time is almost up. If we beat the game, we were able to play on until the 15 minutes were up, and they are. I'm Gish86, this was Contra. Bis bald!